3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to the PhysEd Summit. Thank you so much for joining us for this global event. We could not have made this day possible without you. We are very humbled by the support of the summit has gained each year from your great support. By sharing what you will learn with just one person, you are able to impact hundreds of students. Thank you so much for being here to push best practices, effective health education, and physical education professional development. Reminder that if for some reason the video feed stops, please check the Tozzle for a new video link. It may take us a few minutes to get everything going again, but we always thank you for your patience. Reminder that there is a badge system for the PhysEd Summit. So if you have not viewed Matt Pomeroy's great video on how to earn badges throughout the day, I will put a link to it in the Tozzle so you can take a look at it and see how many badges you can earn today. Chatting on Tozzle is also a great way to learn more, but feel free to share the great info you learned on social media using the PhysEd Summit hashtag so that all educators can see. At the end of the presentation, please visit the Flipgrid link that I will add into the Tozzle to share a 1-minute and 30-second video of how you will use this information in your own classes. If you post a video on Flipgrid, you will be entered to win one of 2 subscriptions to a premium version of Flipgrid for 1 year. After the summit, we will post a feedback survey to the PhysEd Summit homepage. We hope that you will provide us with some feedback so that we can make next year's event even better. So my name is Jonathan Jones and I'll be your moderator today. And here is your presenter.
Cool, thank you, Jonathan. And thanks guys to everyone for tuning in to my session. My name is Christina Polatajko and I'm from Melbourne, Australia. And I'm just about to share my Google slides, so just bear with me. Okay, here we are. All right, so thanks again for tuning in wherever you are listening around the world. It is 1 a.m. here in Melbourne, so I did have a bit of a nap. So now I am wide awake, pumped and ready to go. I've been looking forward to this for a long time now, and it's finally here, so it's great to be on board. So I am the Health and PE Coordinator at Newbury Primary School in Melbourne, Australia, and today is about you have the power to make PhysEd great. And we're going to discover what powers you can bring into your classroom. So if you are on the social media side of things, follow me on at cpola17 on Twitter, Facebook, Miss Physical Education, and all the resources that you see today is on my website, missphysical.education.com. Throughout the session today, I'll be asking you some questions, and I know with Tozzle that you can answer them, but also that you can also spread the word using the hashtag PhysEdPower on Twitter. So tweet your inspiration and ideas that you've learnt from this session. So every 10 minutes, what I'll get you to do is to complete some kind of movement or 10 star jumps. This just gets you recharged and so you don't feel lethargic and you switch off. So as we know with our own students that we can't keep them still for a long time, otherwise they'll be just getting a bit edgy. So I'll remind you just to get up, move your fingers, move your hands, move your feet, whatever you got to do, and then tune back in. So just to give you a bit of a background on where I teach. So it's Newbury in Craigieburn, so it's about 10-15 kilometres from the Melbourne airport. So it's a brand new school that opened up this year, and currently we have 370 students already enrolled. By 2018, they're expecting at least 600 students, which is a huge jump already, and therefore they'll require the extra teachers in health and PE, the arts and science, and in the specialist programs that we offer at Newbury Primary School. It is a school from prep to year 6, and there's a lot of EAL students, so a lot of English additional language students that arrive from different countries that require that extra support with not only with their language base, but also in everyday life. So it is a bit of a challenging school, but it's a fantastic school. And as you can see by the photos here, we've got great facilities. I'm very lucky with the gym, indoor gym. Not only is it big, but it's very light. You can see the windows, and it's nice and bright, and it's really positive when you walk into it. And it's great heaters as well during the winter time. The outdoor space, we've got 2 basketball courts, a nice big oval, and a nice green area as well for the students to be active around as well. So today is all about our learning intention. First of all, is to learn ways to develop a powerful health and physical education experience for your students. The driving question, so why is it important to create a powerful health and PE experience for your students? So I want you to begin to think about that question that I'm giving you right now. And the success criteria, hopefully by the end of this session, is that you'll be able to create a powerful experience for your students. Now, here's your first question that I want you to tweet away using the hashtag PhysEdPower and also the PhysEd Summit hashtags. I want you to share your reasons on why you became a PhysEd educator. And while you do that, I'm going to give you a bit of a background on how I got to here where I am at the moment. So I've always loved PE. I've always loved sport. I've always been a sporty girl. I've never been really into the books or to the numbers. I've always been outdoors. So throughout the primary school years, I used to play, you know, footy with the boys, basketball, you name it. I just love being outdoors. Going into high school, I was a very shy person. I still am pretty shy, and it took me a while to get out of my comfort zone. So the first couple of years of high school was really tough for me personally, to make connections, to make friendships, and I really struggled. And I'm not sure what was a tipping point, but throughout year 11 and year 12, I managed to really get out of my comfort zone and just be who I was and continue to, you know, do the in-school sports, take charge in school carnivals, sporting carnivals, and so on and so on. And as I went into my year 12 exams, I didn't have the marks. I didn't have the grades to get into university. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew then is that I love sport. So I didn't get into university. I did a 2-year TAFE course, which was called Sports Development, and which enabled me to look at different fields. So sports management, fitness, education, outdoor ed. So I did that for 2 years, and I realised that education was something I wanted to get into. So I worked extremely hard throughout the 2 years, and I managed then to get into a Bachelor of Education, majoring in PE and ICT, and I completed the 4-year course. Then I got into my first teaching job, which was at a brand new school, and I was thrown into the deep end, full-time PE, and to create the new program, order equipment, do the budgets, and pretty much run the show in the health and PE department, which was a great way to learn and a great learning experience. There's a lot of highs, a couple lows, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And it really got me thinking that, you know what, I can actually do something amazing with these students. And for the first 2 years or so, I was pretty quiet in the education area, where I was just, you know what, I was just going in there, doing my day job, go home. I was counting down the days on Facebook until, you know, when the holidays were coming up. But then I met Andy Hare, and I'm sure we all know who he is. He became my mentor not long ago, but he introduced me to ICT using iPads. And from then on, he really got me into the network system, into Twitter, into Voxer. And with his help and with the other Aussie PhysEd network, they've really changed my perspective as an educator the last couple of years. And this is why I've signed up for this weekend to present during the PhysEd Summit, to make a difference. And that's what I live by with my motto as an educator, is to make a difference. So this is just another thing. Do you have your teaching philosophy displayed in your office or home? So my philosophy is to ensure all students have equal opportunities to succeed both on and off the field. And you might ask this, why is this important? Well, for me, it's important because it's a reminder why I became an educator. So this is just something to think about, you know, whether it be you just put it on the office wall, put it in the storeroom, put it in your bedroom or something like that. It just reminds you why you get up every single day to go to work. Okay, so going into my session with You Have the Power to Make PhysEd Great, this TED Talk by Rita Pearson, I'm sure we've all seen this. If not, I highly recommend you to watch this. I have seen this over and over and over again, and she continues to inspire me with her words. And just from that little picture there, kids don't learn from people they don't like. And that is spot on. We may have the best facilities, the best program, the best equipment. If you don't have that importance of the human connections with the students and yourself and the parents, the school community, then your program is really going to struggle. And that's so important. That's why we need to ask them, how are you going? How was your weekend? How did you go in your basketball game? We need to make the effort with our students so then they are able to learn with us because they trust us. Saying sorry, that's okay, because the students will appreciate this. If we made a mistake with, not setting up, or the lesson didn't go right, just say, hey guys, yep, sorry guys, that didn't work out because of this. So that the students are aware that we're human as well and we make mistakes, but we also acknowledge when mistakes happen and we move on. So these little things, these little quotes from Rita Pearson, I highly recommend you to have a look, and she will really inspire you. You have the power to change a student's life, and that's something that is just so powerful, that every day we walk into our classrooms knowing that we can change someone's life within the area of health and physical education. Like I said before, make connections with the students, take the time to ask them, how are you? How'd your basketball game go? AFL game go? Because then they actually see that you care about them, and they want to tell you more stories about their success. Therefore, you care, they put in more effort during those outside school hours. We have a good news call policy at our school. So it means that we call one student and their families once a week to share good news with them about their child, because it's easier for us to go and pick up the phone and say, you know what, little Johnny, he really struggled today in PE. He didn't listen. Unfortunately, he didn't go through the school values. He didn't work as a team. And that for the parents really puts them down, and then they have to have that difficult conversation with their student when they get home. So the good news call is about us picking up the phone and say, hey, little Johnny did really well today. He listened. He was able to display some great teamwork with his mates, and he did really well. You should be really proud of them. Just inspires them, and that for them just sees that, hey, actually he's doing really well in PE. Why don't we sign him up for the cricket club or the football club or the little athletics club? So then they get some inspiration that, you know what, PE is not just about fun and games. It's actually a huge part of their learning and development. Let's sign them up. So good news call is probably one of the best things I've seen throughout the 8 years that I've been in education. We celebrate Newbury moments, so sharing achievement with the school community. So again, if John kicked 3 goals in AFL on the weekend, we celebrate that with the school community, so he gets recognised, because he may not get recognised at home as much. So it's important to recognise those students. Checking in with your students. So each lesson, my students check in. So they tap into a check-in card, which the photos I'll show you in a minute. So it's important for us to understand that how the students are feeling emotionally, physically, and mentally. And most importantly, you need to share your moments and your feelings with your students. And that is just as important, that you share, you know what, on the weekend, I coached my footy girls and we had an awesome win and I felt awesome. And the girls were great. They were doing this. They listened to me. So then they can see that you do a lot of things outside. So here's a couple of photos here of the check-in boards over here. So the students walk in, they tap on an emoji on how they're feeling. And it's really important that I say to them, if they are feeling a bit sad today, that they do need to check in with me personally, and then we have a discussion on how I can help. Here's just an example, again, some proud moments. So I highly always encourage my students to share what they've achieved, because no one should be ever afraid to share their proud moment, and everyone's moment is different, and that's okay, because everybody is different with their learning abilities and capabilities. So this is my footy team, and by the way, we are playing in the grand final tomorrow morning, or actually this morning at 11:40. So I'm really excited, and this is what I've been sharing with my students all year round, because they know the background story, and they are looking forward to hopefully then Miss P sharing the success with them next week. after hopefully our grand final victory. Here's the Newbury moments. Again, it's not the student of the week. It's just someone who stood out in that lesson by doing something small or something that they were able to achieve within their own time and their own personal goal. And that's, for me, is so important, because then parents walk in during assembly, other students walk in, they can see, you know, Connor from Prep A was able to support his team during the obstacle course. That is something really important. We need to recognise our students. All right, oh, gee, that's already. So what I want you to do is just to move around. So at the moment, I'm just moving my arms in the air, you know, up to 10 seconds. Just stretch your arms, just so, you know, you're ready to go for the next section. All right, here we go. Okay, so how can I begin to make PhysEd great? So this is a 5-star concept that I created throughout at the beginning of this year. It's 5 parts: building relationships, equality, everybody's different, values, and mindset. So let's go through them. So the first one is building relationship. That is number 1, and we all know that. Creating positive relationship with your students. So this is an introduction video that I shared, that I created with my students at the start of this year. And I'm going to show you this. It goes for 90 seconds. And this is important because then right from the beginning of day 1, the students know about you and they get to know you. And it's important that they know what you do on the outside, not going into too much detail, but also they get to know you on a personal level. So I'll just show you right now.
I'm Miss Polatajko, and I'm your health and PE teacher for 2017. And this is my life. This is my mum and dad. I have 2 brothers. One brother lives in Brisbane, and the other brother lives in Melbourne. This is my niece and nephew. My niece's name is Ava, and my nephew's name is Morris. They both live in Brisbane. I have a cat named Alfie, and 2 dogs, Ruby and Lily. But of course, I've got another dog named Hazel. She's a bit old, so she lives with mum and dad. I love to stay fit and healthy. I love to relax with my friends. And if you can't find me, there I am. I love going to the beach to relax, enjoy the sand and the water. And of course, I barrack for Carlton. Miss Polatajko is a superhero. Are you a superhero? How will you become a superhero this year in health and PE? It's time to put your thinking caps on and think about the way you can become a superhero. So I look forward to the fun, the challenges, and the exciting times we're going to have here at Newbury Primary School.
Okay, so I'm hopefully back on with the Google Hangout with you guys. So again, that's just a small little video, a basic introduction. The kids are now feeling comfortable that they've made some connection that, oh, she barracks for the same footy team, or I've got 2 dogs as well, and oh, I've got a cat as well. So again, there's already that building the connections and relationships, and they feel then comfortable in approaching you when, you know, during learning time, or, you know, when there are a bit of tough times, they can speak to you. So building relationships are the foundation of teamwork. Team fails to execute when relationships are poor, and that is, and we see that all the time. So that's why, as an educator, building relationship, not only does it happen at the start of the year, it happens every single time that we teach physical education. We need to remind our students that teamwork, building those relationships is just critical. And the same things happen in the classroom. So my recommendation is playmeo.com, which is Mark Collard. You probably would have heard of him before, and you will probably hear more of him throughout the weekend. Amazing with team building activities, amazing with the building relationship activities for all year levels, all ages. And down below here is just a couple of my favorites: knee tag, rock, paper, scissors train, the marshmallow challenge, and clothes peg. So I highly recommend you to go on to the website and also check out his YouTube page as well. Going on to the second part of the 5-star PhysEd, so equality. And like part of my teaching philosophy is to ensure you know, all students are equally learning both on and off the field. So it's critical for students to know and understand what this is. You know, how do you promote it in your classroom? You know, what activities do you do, or what do you teach them? Do you show them video? Do you show them posters? You know, you try not to refer to any sport to a boy sport or girl sport, because that's then we are then breaking them up, and we want to make sure that they're all equal and they all have the opportunity to succeed in whatever they want to do. You know, sport and AFL is not a boy sport anymore. It's you know, boys and girls. You know, blue's not a boy's colour, pink's not a girl's colour. So that's really important that we take out that stereotype. You know, boys are this, girls are that. No, everyone is equal, and everyone has the right opportunity to learn and to achieve what they want to do. So what I want you to do now, using the hashtag PhysEdPower, is post your favourite superhero on Twitter. It could be a picture, it could be a GIF, it could be anything. It could be just a quick, you know, my superhero is this. So I want to share you my superhero very quickly, and that's my mum. And she's been my superhero all my life because she believes in me. She ensures that I get the best out of myself in terms of as a person every day and as an educator. And that's something that can't be taken away from me, because she's my superhero. I look up to her, and that's something that we need to share with our students. And we did a superhero with my kids, and I got them to draw what their superhero looked like, and it was really interesting because every single student had a cape. All the students had a mask on, and it was really funny that they identified their superhero as Batman, as Wonder Woman, as Spider-Man. But when I told them my superhero is my mum, and they were like, "Oh, hang on, no, she's not a superhero." I go, "Yes, she is. She's a superhero." So they were getting confused of, oh, okay, so superheroes can be anyone. And that's what we need to understand. That superhero is an everyday human being, and anyone can be a superhero. So here are our health and PE values and agreements, which equals equality in PhysEd. So we've got over here the health and PE values: fun, participation, resilience, and teamwork. Over here we've got our 4 house colours, which is our Australian sporting legends, and they are related to our school values. So our 4 school values are effort, integrity, community, and respect. And so, for example, Leighton Hewitt, he is the Hewitt House, and he connects with the effort school value. So it just, again, ties in nicely. And this is our health and PE agreements that our students look towards to, and ensures that they are agreed to what they've agreed throughout the year. Third one is everybody is different. So this connects really well with health education. This also connects well with bullying and how students are put off from physical activity when bullied because of their body image, and also how different people are perceived from the outside. And, you know, we've been taught not to judge a book by its cover, and that's so important for the students to understand that, you know what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of you guys around the room are different, and all of you guys learn differently, and that's okay. That's okay for John to learn differently, to Sam to learn differently, and there's no judging, because you guys learn different, and that's okay. So what I did with this everybody different is making connections with your sporting units. So, for example, with our invasion games here, units, I set a bit of an invasion games hero. So I picked 9 Aussie sporting heroes that played invasion games, and that I was able to share their stories and how they are all different to everyone, but still managed to achieve their goals. So here are my 9 invasion game heroes, and you can see that they're all different, from hair color, skin color, body type, from sport. So students were able to understand and make connections that these guys are everyday humans. These guys are sporting heroes. These guys are invasion games heroes because they worked hard, okay? Because they were able to set their own goals and able to achieve their own goals. So this makes the units more meaningful and more powerful, that they were able to relate, you know, to one of our footballers, who's a girl, who now plays professional AFL, but she was able to set that goal and set the goals and make sure that she was able to achieve them. And again, it's relating to invasion games. So that for them and for me is really important, that they see in the outside world that anyone can be an invasion game hero and anyone can become those heroes as long as they have the right attitude and that respect and so on and so on. Moving on
Christina,
to...
we have a couple of questions. Do you mind if I stop you right there?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this question is coming from Kelly. She asks, how do you support students in meeting these goals of equality? And when they don't quite hit the mark on that day, like what do you do?
Well, firstly, that's an ongoing process. So we can't expect students to nail those goals on the head straight away. I see my kids once a week for 50 minutes. Setting those goals are critical, but you don't just say, you don't do a lesson on equality just once a year. This is spread throughout the whole year. If you're playing a game or you're doing some kind of activity, and how are you going to be equal towards each other? Who's going to take charge? But then how are you going to share ideas to ensure that everyone's equal and has the right opportunities to succeed in this game? It's something that it's an ongoing practice, and it's something that students voice their opinions on. Well, how did you guys go? How did you guys go as a team? And that's something that it is a work in progress. And that's why I love to hear from others in terms of, how do you promote equality in your classrooms?
Nice. And we have another question from Danielle. Yep. She asked, how long do you find it takes the students to transition to understand these concepts? And you kind of spoke on that. She wants to know if it takes a couple of weeks, months. So how long does it normally take them to actually get it, get what you're trying to teach them?
So again, these words, this 5-star PhysEd is on my gym walls. They're not just thrown into the cupboard for next year. They're there because they will make their PE experience more memorable for them. If we just throw away, what we're trying to teach them, they're not going to get it. And this is what this session's really all about, to understand that these little things that we're trying to incorporate into our curriculum is just as important, if not more important, because these are social skills, these are life skills that these kids need to learn. And this is trial and error, and that transition, that will take a while. I can guarantee my kids are still learning, but it's important that you remind them, you stop and pause a game. Hang on, why weren't you sharing then? Or, why were you judging, John? Remember, everybody's different. He learns differently. So how do we show that respect? So it's an ongoing learning, but it's always important to remind those students that, if something isn't working, or someone's not demonstrating, or someone is demonstrating those points, that we recognize them.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. So the values in physical education. So this is going on to number 3, I think. So making connections with the outside world. So what are your values? So it's what I do is get your students to come up with their own values. But before you do that, we again unpack. I love that word, unpack. What values mean and why do we need them as a person, and how the values are going to help us not in health and PE but in everyday life. So students express their values. So here's an activity that you can do. Students can go on an active walk or jog, expressing words they feel are important to them. They come back as a whole group, list some words on the board, or list some words on a butcher paper. Then they can realise that these words are really important for them. And that for them, they can choose it. They can put it onto iPad. They can put it into a health and PE book. They can write it down, and keep it in and put it onto to take it back home or put it on the gym wall. This is something that's pretty special then. But then you know what? You can also incorporate an activity. And we did this not long ago. We did reminders of their values. So we did role plays so that we had our school values. So we had, again, respect, integrity, community, and, I forgot the last one, effort. So then students then got into groups and they were able to then do some role plays. I guess advertising, I don't know if that's the right word, but what those values look like in the yard, in PE, and in the classroom. So again, it's just a reminder, a constant reminder. It's something that we don't pack away. It's a reminder for them to ensure that they use every single day. And this is something that we did again as the year went on. So these are some of these words. So sportsmanship obviously is a huge part of the PE world. But I cut some images out, and what we did is the first image over here this is an image that was used in AFL Grand Final last year, and it was a powerful moment in our sporting world. And pretty much I just asked the question, what makes this image so powerful? So we went through the background story of these three players and coaches, and the students were then able to identify those key words that represented that picture. And that, for me, allowed them to understand that some of these words that they can relate to the everyday learning. And again, simple why sportsmanship is so important, having connections with different sports and different ages and genders and religions. And then what defines sportsmanship? So it's, again, you're giving the students the ownership to take charge and identify those keywords that relate to these powerful pictures. Then they can see that all sports are different, but number one, sportsmanship is critical in every single sport. So that's just an example. So my values, I thought I'll show you my values, and why I share my values. Please tweet away using the hashtag PhysEdPower your values as an educator or as a human. So as an educator, it's honest. You have to be honest. I mean, if we can't be honest with our kids, if we can't be honest with our parents, with our staff, then we are really not in the right industry. So we've got to be honest, and it's okay to be wrong, but it's most importantly to acknowledge it and be honest and be upfront. Learning. Not only do we stand in front, we need to get involved with the students, play the game with them, teach them and run around with them, because they will get engaged even more. If you just stand on the side, blow your whistle, clap your hands, do what you got to do, you know what? It's going to take them ages to get them up and gunning, because there's going to be a couple of students that don't want to do PE. So we need to get them up and moving. If they see us moving, well, they're going to follow us. They love us. They love the PE teacher. And also fun. It has to be fun. If you walk in there with a bit of I've got a bit of a headache, I can't be bothered here, well, the kids are going to be the same thing. So honest, learn, and fun. And as a human being, it's the same three. Nothing's changed. So honest, learn, and fun. So I look forward to seeing some of the values that you guys post up.
Yes, and we have another question from Danielle.
Yep.
From Natalie. Natalie asks, do you give your students a brief history of the sport so they could make a connection?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, we can't just expect them to see the image and think, oh, what's this about? You got to set the tone. You got to set a story so they can actually visualize and imagine that they're actually part of that image. They can see themselves in that image, and then they can make that real connection of how will they feel and what that means to them.
Ask, in creating equality, do you tackle language such as sportsmanship? Should we use sportspersonship or fair play? What is your perspective of that?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe each to their own. Look, fair play, that's obviously critical up there. Sportsmanship, sportspersonship, It's each to their own. I've always been brought up with sportsmanship, and that's something that I was able to spread the message to my students. And I know my students who are engaged in outside school sports, they are a part of that sportsmanship, and they've been taught to use sportsmanship on and off the court. So the language is critical. It has to be consistent. You can't chop and change. Otherwise, the students will get confused. So having that consistent language throughout your course of your teaching is critical, and it's really important then that for students to use that language. So you really ensure that they are using the right language and they know why they're using it for as well. You there?
Great.
Cool. Yep. Cool. Sorry. All right. So I'll keep going. Now I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to try and speed things up. Some of you may have seen this poster that said the mindset of physical education. So I'm going to briefly go through this. And mindset, you can set 2-3 hours to go through this. But I'm going to show you a lot of examples that I've used using the emojis for my students. Good sportsmanship, bad sportsmanship, and I know there's people said, well, why don't you use bad's a bit of a negative word, so I might use poor sportsmanship or something like that. But this it got them straight into it because they are able to connect with the emojis. They see it every single day on social media and devices that they use, and then they were able to then put the correct emojis into the correct area. Mindset again. So these are QR codes that I use for my students. So they are pinned on my gym door, and they're not skill related. They are all about the values that we use in PE and also the language use that we use. So, for example, I might say, hey, John, can you go and scan your iPad and scan Wonder Woman because you were excellent today. You never gave up. And he collects himself a badge. He then able to show his parents, hey, Miss P awarded me this badge because I didn't give up today. And then they're able to then share their stories. The parents say, well, why didn't you give up today? Because I was able to, blah, 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 blah. So there are just different, positive attitude, badge, doing their best, their efforts, and supporting their teammates. This is a growth mindset with teaching games for understanding. So this is an example for invasion games. So we're seeing those posters, instead of saying this, I will say this. So I just able to convert into the invasion games language over here. And this is something that I'm really proud of. This doesn't look fancy, but it is really powerful. So I use this for my juniors. So when we reflect, we share our thoughts and feelings, and then at the end, I ask them, what makes you happy in health and PE? And they just say a word, and they say a word because then that makes them happy. And it's important that they leave the room with a positive mindset because it's critical for them, for students to stay motivated and excited to share their learning. Because if they walk out, upset, sad, then that's all they're going to remember. They're not going to remember what they learnt. So it's really important they walk out with that positive mindset, and it's really important that you finish off with that reflection and make sure that you ask them, it could be simple. What did you learn today? Why? Why did it make you feel good? What was it? What was that turning point for you? What equipment did you love to use? Why? So it's just giving them that voice of their excitement and their feelings. Oh, I think it's probably past 10 minutes, but again, just move your hands and fingers or body around for another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, moving on. Okay, the little things. And this is the little things in health and PE, which I'm really proud of, that I've created probably the last couple months. And it ties in nicely with the 5-star PhysEd. And as you can see, I'm not talking about the curriculum base. I'm talking about how you can incorporate this into your curriculum. Participation, resilience, teamwork, and positive attitude and questioning. So these are things that, again, every day, and I want my students to be an amazing human beings. It's just so important for them in their life so they get through and they're able to achieve what they want. So all these resources can be found on my website as well to get into details. I'm just, again, conscious of a bit of time. examples of how they use the little things. So on the left-hand side of the screen, my year 5, 6s, so I printed out 5 laminated cards week by week, and they use little smiley stickers. And then I asked the question, all right, put your sticker on which little thing that you think our group did well in. So then we are able to see that, in week 2, the students worked really well in the team. So then that means, week 3, we need to work on our resilience. So it gives me a bit of data, and then the students are able to see how they went. Example here with my juniors are setting some goals. So they write their name underneath which little thing they want to achieve for that term, not for the year, just for the term. And then they, again, unpack it, why, how are we going to do it, and refer to it constantly throughout the term. These are little cards that are, again, on my TV. So if a student sees someone doing something, a great little thing, not be the best skilled person, but they were seeing that their positive attitude made a difference for someone. So they give a little card. They say, you know what, hey, mate, you just did fantastic. Your attitude was great. So, again, it's not me rewarding students. It's students taking charge and being responsible to tap on someone on the shoulder and say, hey, well done. So the goal setting, which I just touched based on. Okay, so again, it was pretty rushed, but I wanted to get into other things. So these are text connections now into physical education. So incorporating stories and text into your PE program. So now moving towards the what else can you incorporate into your curriculum? So I was inspired by my mentor, Andy Hare, which he was on here before, and he'll be on tomorrow, later on the day for you guys. So using text connections with your lessons can make the lessons and units so much better and more engaging. So this is, I did create and the resources here and on my site, going on a bear hunt. So this is discovering new movements and how we can use these movements every day. So it's to do with our locomotor units, which is fantastic. And you can get into details on how to use it properly. And more text connections. So I'm going on a bear hunt with the little ones. So they were able to move to the story, sing to the story, and then play some couple games related to our bear hunt. And they were able to connect, imagine it, that they were through the bushes, through the woods, they were participating, and most importantly, it was a lot of fun for them, and they can relate to it because they knew the background of it. Again, there's the bear, there's a little bear. There's the students, another connection we made with, they had to create their own obstacle course, so they were inspired, unpacked it. Another one, we used the Very Hungry Caterpillar, so it connects both well with health and physical education. And Who Sank the Boat? That connects well with team building. We use gym mats, and students have to work together to get one side to the other side without falling out of the boat. So they read the book first together as a whole class, and then they listed what we need to do as a team, how we're going to work together as a team, how we're going to get our boat from one end to the other side. Just quickly, using ICT to make a difference. Huge ICT fan, as you may have known. There's a lot of, you may see. This one I'll quickly show you very quickly. This is an A to Z warm-up activity. So going through the alphabet, pop it onto your projector and just move along, and you can see how the students are then exposed to different exercises, different movements. You've got some questions here ready to go, and I can guarantee you they will be huffing and puffing, and I can guarantee you'll be huffing and puffing too. All right, so yeah, there's again a lot of resources there, and ICT is massive. It makes a huge difference, and I'm very lucky at our school we have one-to-one iPads and great facilities. But even if you don't have that, you can still manage to work off with a couple little devices that you've got at home. So going into our learning intentions, the driving questions and the success criterias. I'm going to probably apologise. I probably am speeding through what I wanted to say, but I wanted to talk about the driving question because that sets the tone with what your students are going to learn, because it allows your students to unpack the question. Students come up with the question from the main question. So up here is, why is it important to share success and recognise learn from failure? So that's something that Miss P, put up. And then I sent my students on an active walk jog, and I wanted them to come up with 3 key questions from that main question. So we were able to quickly identify keywords. So we highlighted them or underlined them, and then they came up with 3 quick questions. And then they were able to unpack the meaning of this question and what needs to be done to achieve this success criteria. And again, with the little ones also do their driving question, make connections, with the text, and then with the driving question. So looking at the Goldilocks and the 3 bears. So the students had to use their accuracy and to feed the bear. So they had to do an underarm throw to feed the bear. So they had to get the beanbag into the hoop closest to the bear, and making sure that they're using these steps as well. Just a couple more examples here, guys. And a couple more. And again, allowing the students to take charge. So I just got them to, what are you more comfortable with, striking or fielding? So again, it's not me making the choice, it's them. The backwards driving question. So instead of saying, why do we need to stand side on? You might say, what happens when we don't stand side on? So get your students to go out there and get them to do it incorrectly, so they can see that if they do it the wrong way, it's not going to work out. So just another little suggestion there. And then they come up with the reasonings why we don't do it that way. Sorry, how long do we have left?
We have about 3 more minutes.
Oh, okay. I'm just, you know what? Follow at Mr. D PE, Sean DeMorden. He's going to be on soon with the Aussie PhysEd boys. He is great with the PE expression sessions. I highly recommend to follow him on Twitter, and you can see more of this PE expression sessions as well. So I will just quickly skip by. Reflection. So reflection in PhysEd is, you know what? I don't know who've said this before, but you'd rather stop for 10 minutes, you'd rather stop for 8 minutes, and you reflect, because that's where the students learn. That's where the students discover. But make reflection an active reflection. So don't just get them to sit down, get them to get up, get them to share, get them to walk around the class. For example, rock, paper, scissors, reflect. The music's on, music stops, find someone, rock, paper, scissors, reflect, and they quickly share what they learnt. Musical reflect, so it's musical freeze, but dance around, music stops, freeze, and then you reflect to the closest person, and also some reflection cards on how they felt and how their body feels as well. So if you've got time, tweet your reflections. So I wanted to get some more ideas. Again, just another student-driven reflection. The little ones, you can see that they're big writing. That's definitely them. I reckon we're nearly to the end. So you know what? You keep moving, I'll keep talking. So yeah, and the network, power of network. How good is Twitter? How good is Boxer? It is a game changer. So get your teaching mates on board. Get them on board, because that's where they're going to make a difference and change. Periscope, so share what you do within the class. Facebook, there's just so much, but we also got to be really careful in what we do and make sure we've got that permission before you do. So before you tweet, make sure you know what you're doing. Before you post, make sure you've got that correct policies and so on. Okay, this is it. So it's time to tap out from my session. So on Twitter, what I want you to do is to tap out on which superhero you are at the moment. So if you're Captain America, type in Captain America. Batman or Wonder Woman. Oh, sorry, Batgirl, sorry. And tell me on how you're feeling at the moment. And I'm probably guessing that you're feeling overwhelmed, but I'm hoping that if you got 1 or 2 ideas from my session today, then I've done my job. Then I've done my job to help your students just to become better human beings and just become that better physical educators and just to love physical activity. So tap out, and you have that power to be that champion. So every child deserves a champion, and I thank you for joining in. And honestly, if you've got any questions or you want me to elaborate even more, please connect with me. I love this stuff. I just love it. This is why I always put my hand up to present, because I just love ensuring that teachers are inspired so their students are inspired. So thank you very much.
Well, we definitely appreciate you, Christina. There was such good conversation going on within the TASL. Will you be making this PowerPoint available?
Yes, so this will go onto my website.
Okay.
So my website under presentation. So I will put that, but I'll put that on probably tomorrow, only because it is just hitting 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and I've got the big grand final coming up, so I have to get some beauty sleep. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, it'll be definitely on.
So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who tuned in on TASL. We would love to hear about what you thought about Christina's presentation and how it will impact your teaching in this upcoming school year. So if you would, can you please take a moment to visit the Flipgrid link that I will post in the TASL. And on that link, you will post a 1 minute and 30-second video just telling us what you think. It's really quick, it's really simple, and there's no sign up needed. And if you submit a Flipgrid response, then you will be entered in a drawing for a premium subscription to Flipgrid for an entire year. It's a really, really useful teaching tool, so we hope that you'll take advantage of this opportunity. Again, thank you to Christina, thank you to all the people who participated on TASL, and we have a lot more planned for the PhysEd Summit, so please stay tuned.